So people have been asking me why I need two MIDI controllers for my live loop short videos. Is it all just for show or do I really need them? The answer is in the music itself and I will explain how. First of all, we need to talk a little bit about Minilabs 3 default DAW setup and why I don't like it. So, if you push shift on the MIDI controller and then the program pad, you can cycle through the different MIDI presets the Minilab has. If you just bought it, your first move would be to go to the DAW preset, which stands for Digital Audio Workstation, jump into Ableton and start looping. You record your first loop by arming the track. Now, this is quite the process as you have to press shift, then press the big knob that is also a button. So, I don't know, maybe a knobton. Never mind, I'll just call it Little Knobby. Anyhow, press the assign pad to record, then again shift and turn knobby to go to another clip in Ableton, and then repeat the process. Those are a lot of maneuvers you have to make to get from one clip to another, and they just consume time. When you are in a live looping situation, time is what you do not have, because the listener's ear tends to get used to the sound and he starts to lose interest. The song needs a short and steady build-up to reach its musical peak. That is why we need to switch the sounds decently fast between them. Should be easy enough. Let's record a loop. Nabi, where are you, boy? Yes. Now, we wait at least another loop. How can we make a loop that plays one after the other? Well, you can't in the default DAW setup of the Minilab. You need to go to the user profile and set up your own way on how to play. Now, the second controller comes into place, the Minilab MK2. I set the pads in the MIDI control center, the Arturia app for customizing your Minilabs. At the output note menu, I select different notes that I will not use in the loop. Usually really low notes starting from C-2. I select different notes for the second controller so it doesn't come in conflict with my main one. Once I am finished, I jump into Ableton and use the MIDI mapping, subscribe mapping, just kidding. The MIDI mapping feature, which you can find in the top right corner. You press the button and everything goes blue. Now you can map any parameter in Ableton with a MIDI command. I right click on record and then press the first pad on one of the Minilabs and you can see on the left of the screen the assigned pad. So whenever I press that pad, it will toggle the record arm button on or off. After this, I go to the selected clip that I want to record. In my case, the first one. Right click with the mouse and assign it to the second pad on the Minilab. I now have control over the arm function and the play function inside Ableton, right on my Minilab. I do the same thing for all my tracks. If I have too many for the given pads, I just use the pads on the second Minilab. In this fashion, I can start the second loop right after the first one. Okay, let's see the process. I start by arming the track. Now I start recording. Right at the end of the loop, I can press the next pads, the ones that are assigned to the arm and play buttons of the second track, to start recording the next clip. Note that you must press exactly at the end of the loop, otherwise you will cut off your previous loop. So it helps if the melody that you are playing doesn't come right to the last beat. Practicing is a must to start getting into the groove with making these changes as seamless as possible. Now, because I must press those pads so fast, I don't really have time to change octaves or other parameters. So, setting up another MIDI controller really helps. For instance, for some bass sounds and drums, I can use one keyboard. And for stuff like synths, leads that are usually played in higher registers, I use another. You can also get a 49 and 61 key MIDI controller and use that for all your instruments. Programming two sounds like this bass and synth pad and assigning each to different mini labs is easy. All you have to do is assign the MIDI ins to the different MIDI controllers. If wanted, you can record both at the same time by MIDI mapping the record and play buttons on each track to get activated by the same pad on the controller. For more hands-on info on how I do this, you can watch one of my YouTube Shorts covers. Cheers!